Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Football Manager 2020 with Zebu Nation. That's right, we're back. Taking a little hiatus since I did the beta save with Nashville FC. Now we're going to come back. You know, Football Manager, they've had their first stability update. Everything seems to be fine. The logo apocalypse seems to have been figured out. Nobody's been sued. Nobody has, lost their business or, whatever was going to happen with the logo apocalypse. Everybody's back to using logos and face packs and all that good stuff, and I have some of that loaded, but we'll talk about that at some other point. It's not really pertinent to the intro of this video. What is pertinent to the intro of this video is, as you can see here up in the corner, we have Miami FC, or Inter Miami, I suppose is what they actually are. I don't want to get confused. Don't want to mess things up right from my very first video. It is Inter Miami, and I came to Inter Miami through kind of a roundabout way. You figured, okay, he took Nashville in his previous save. It makes sense that now he'd take Inter Miami and give the other expansion team a look. But honestly, that wasn't my intention for this save. What this save was going to be, and what it is an MLS journeyman save. So I'm going to take each team for however long they give me a contract. I'm going to take one contract with each team, each team that I feel like taking. And we're going to play out that contract and then move to another team and see what else is going on in the MLS. So I started out this series unemployed. And I was like, you know what? I can sign up. I can get with an MLS team, no problem. Take a look at my coach here. Take a look at Zebu Nation. This isn't Zebu Nation Junior or Senior. This is the original, 27 years old, from America, the United States of. And as you can see here, good coach working with youngsters, good technical coach, very good technical coach. A little bit of attacking, a little bit of defending, some youngster knowledge, some man management, motivating, all that kind of stuff. A pretty decent MLS level coach. I thought, you know what? I can get a job, no problem. But nobody wanted to hire me. I'm not sure what happened. It was just, I couldn't even get interviews, nothing. My reputation was too low. So I messed around, and I was just looking at other jobs that were open, and I signed on as the Argentina under-23s coach because they were getting ready for the Olympics. So heck, why not? Well, they weren't getting ready for the Olympics. They were getting ready to qualify for the Olympics. And we had the South American qualification run. And as you can see here in the final stage, Argentina beat Peru 3-1 to move on to the Olympics. And meanwhile, Brazil in the other half beat Uruguay 2-1. So it was Argentina and Brazil were the two representatives to the Olympic Games, which is no big surprise, I'm sure. And so I had a little run in the Olympics. It was fun. I like doing these sort of international saves. Everybody enjoys an international save from time to time. And as you can see here, surprising winners, Cameroon wins the 2020 Olympic Games. It says 2024 here, but it's 2020, trust me. Meanwhile, we won the third place game versus Brazil, of all people. So it was, it was a good tournament. We we didn't win our group. We came in second place in our group to Spain. We lost to Spain on the last day, but we had already qualified. So I played a rotated team because you really don't get much time when it comes to the Olympics. It's like 3 days between games. So everybody's got tired players and all that stuff. But anyway, we lost one game, and that was to Spain. We still qualified into the next round and into the quarterfinals. And as you can see here, we beat France on penalties, so that was good. Our goalkeeper came up with a huge round. He stopped two of their attempts to move on to the next round. Then we go to the tree here. You can see USA lost to Cameroon 2-1. Brazil moved on over Spain in extra time to face Germany, where they lost. And meanwhile, we lost to Cameroon on penalties. Our goalkeeper couldn't come up big. He only stopped one of their shots, and we missed two of our penalties, so that ended our chance at the gold medal right there. But then surprisingly, Cameroon beats Germany 3-0 in the final to take the gold medal. And as you saw, we took bronze from Brazil. So I don't know. It's like whenever I play in the Olympic Games, I guess I'm a bronze medal coach. What can I say? No matter who I take Canada, we get the bronze medal. I take Argentina, which should be a far superior team, and yet we still get the bronze medal. So maybe it's me. I don't know. Anyway, all that being said, it came time for like mid-season of MLS at this point in the 2020 season. So it had taken all of 2019, no job offers. 2020, I started getting some interest in the middle of this tournament. You know, my reputation had started to go up because I'd won a cup, right? They count the Olympic game qualification as a cup victory. So I had a little bit of reputation, and MLS teams started coming around, but they didn't want to hire me because I already had this job, and they kept asking me, how am I going to do two jobs at once and whatever. So as soon as this tournament was over, my job with the under-23s ended. It just kind of ends automatically because they're like, you're not going to play again for another 3 years, so we're just going to fire you now, or let you go. So that's what happened. And then once I was unemployed, then the job offers started coming. But again, nobody in MLS wanted me. They would interview me. I got interviewed by several teams. A couple teams laughed off the possibility, like New York. Both the New York teams laughed off the possibility, and New England also. Some other teams, though, did give me interviews. Let me see if I can remember exactly who it was. It was Sporting KC, I know, was one of them. Who else? Toronto laughed me off as well. It was Real Salt Lake gave me an interview. Cincinnati gave me an interview, and then they gave me a contract offer. But I was like, I already coached Cincinnati in FM18. So why don't I give that a break? I put them on delay. And then during the week delay, they hired somebody else. So that was probably not a good idea. And then the only team left that was offering me an interview was Inter Miami. And so when they offered me the job, I was like, okay, we're not going to mess around. We're not going to go another year with no job. So we've come all the way full circle back to Inter Miami, who finished dead last, 26th in the Supporters' Shield. And they're basically looking for a fresh start, I guess. So right now, we're only in November of 2020. So the season just ended. We just got hired. And basically, I have, some preseason work to do. But I thought I'd show you the team and where we're starting out, where we are at. So we can take a look at Major League Soccer. You can see here, Orlando City is the title holders, but I'm not exactly sure what. See, 11/8/2020. Okay. So Orlando City, who knew? They would win the MLS Cup. That's outrageous, I think. They did. Who did they hire? They just hired a good coach. Who am I thinking? They just hired FC Dallas's coach, Oscar Pereja. So maybe, he's a good coach. He could turn them around, so it's a possibility. But anyway, Seattle wins the Western Conference. Eastern Conference, Atlanta United. Orlando City finished 5th in the conference, so they just went on a heck of a playoff run and won the whole darn thing. So that's pretty wild. So that's the MLS situation that we're coming off of. We are in the Eastern Conference as we're supposed to be. I don't know if they're going to keep adding expansion teams in FM20. I wish they would. I wish they would just keep, because we know who the expansion teams are going to be. They've already announced who the next 4 expansion teams are going to be. So why not put them in FM? Maybe they just don't want to take the time. I'm sure, it takes programming and effort and all that stuff to rearrange the league every year and add new teams. So maybe they don't want to do that. But anyway, it would be nice feature if they did. I mean, they did Brexit. It's a rant I've done before, so I'm not going to go off on that. So let's take a look at Inter Miami and see where we're at. Pretty decent club. 3-star regional reputation, 4-star finances, so that's pretty good. Great training facilities, great youth facilities. Brand new club, brand new everything. I think this is a little bit of a rosy picture for Inter Miami. Right now in real life, they're it's a little questionable about exactly where they're going to be playing and where they're going to be practicing. They got plans for stuff, but right now nothing is set for these guys. Nothing is 100% when it comes to Inter Miami. Anyway, we got a very good bank balance, $30 million. $10 million in profit this season, so that's outstanding. Got a $4.7 million transfer budget. That's decent. That's good enough. Payroll budget of $21 million. That's plenty. That is outstanding. You know, it's twice what we had in Nashville. Nashville had a $10 million payroll budget, and we were kind of bumping up against that when we were trying to put our team together. So now with Inter Miami, we've got more room to maneuver, more payroll, and we should be able to bring in some interesting dudes. And that brings us to, let's see. It brings us to our contracts and stuff like that. Is that under Club Vision? There we go. New features in FM20. I'm sure you've seen this by now. The Club Vision. So we're only here for 2 years, so we don't have to worry about, all of these other seasons. We only have to worry up until 2022 when our contract expires. So basically, we want to be competitive by the end of next season. We want to sign young players to develop for profit, and we want to sign high reputation players. So our budget will help us sign the high reputation players. And as for signing young players to develop for profit, for me, that means going to South America. I think that's sort of been proven right now in MLS that if you want to sign players for profit, you go down to South America, you sign a young kid, Brazilian, Argentinian, something like that. You sign him up, you let him play, he gets big offers from overseas, and you let him go. That seems to be the way to go. So we'll see if we can do that. So we're going to need help, and we're going to need some scouting. And that brings us to our staff, which is non-existent. We got nothing. We got one head coach, and that's it. We got one general manager, one chief scout, so that's good, and one regular scout. Let's take a look at our scout, Darren Elliott. Quite a pompadour he's got going on there. He's man of the large forehead. 36 years old, and he's familiar with South America somewhat. Costa Rica, Guatemala, Honduras, Jamaica, England, Italy. This guy's familiar with a lot of places all over the world. Mostly he's a USA scout, and mostly he's extremely average. 8 ability, 7. So we don't want to go too far on this guy. Like we're looking at his scouting reports and saying, okay, thanks, but let's see what somebody else has to say. Anyway, he's the only guy we got right now. So we need to do some work in the recruiting department. Same thing with medical staff. We got one physio and one doctor, and that's it. Who's our doctor? Dr. Vinny Boombots? No, Dr. Brian Oberly is our only doctor. We can't even look at him. Chief Scout Purcell. Do these guys even exist there? Yeah, see, the doctors just, you can't click on the doctors. He's only 34 years old. Seems kind of young. Anyway, Steve Purcell, 37 years old. He's okay. Is this guy a head physio character? I don't know about that. Only 14 physio therapy. Whatever. So our real problem is staff, and then scouting, and then players, which we haven't even discussed yet. Our squad is tiny. You wonder why these guys... Okay, got an alert there. You wonder why these guys finished last in the league. Perhaps it's because they only had 14 players. And this is another reason why I wanted to start a little later in the season, start in 2021, to where maybe these teams can start fixing their rosters, because their rosters get messed up in MLS in the second and third season. So we have to go until the fourth season, 2021. Is that the fourth season? 18, 19, 19, 20, 21. Anyway, I think it starts in 18. Anyway, who cares? It's the rosters get messed up, so you got to go into the future a little bit and get some rosters that can be fixed. Like Miami, we're going to be fixing Miami. A little bit of a repair project. Now, it seems they've traded away some of their international slots because they've only got 7 available. So that's going to hurt us a little bit, because what I'd wanted to do is I wanted to go down into Cuba and South America, look for some Cuban players, because I think there are some pretty decent Cuban players. Most of them aren't playing for Cuba or in Cuba, obviously. Most of them have defected to elsewhere. But I think there's some decent Cuban players, and if you could bring in some of those guys, that would be very popular, I think, in Miami. Also, like I mentioned, we want to bring in some South American kids to sell on and help finance the club. But it's hard to do that when we've only got 1 international slot available. So we're going to have to look at guys who are currently on the roster to maybe get rid of, or to see if they fit into our plans. We'll see. But other than that, we got 1 designated player. So we got 2 designated player slots to fill. And we can use those to bring in some bigger name players and hopefully keep the board happy, because we're going to have to find some guys who have minimum of the same or higher, reputation. I blanked on the simple word, reputation, than our club. So you see our club info. We've got a 3-star reputation, so we need to bring in 3-star or better players in terms of their reputation. That's how that works. When they ask you to sign high-profile players, that's what they mean. Let's see. Other than that, we got the regular MLS roster stuff to worry about, but for the most part, our players are okay. I think it's a pretty decent team we've got going on here. We got some young guys already. Obviously, we've had an MLS Super Draft, and Miami had some good picks. So we've got some decent young players, some decent young talent. We've got some, I think just good players overall. So here's one of our young Argentinians. Julian Carranza. Striker, 4 stars. Valued at $2.8 million. So he's a guy maybe we could sell on if he catches someone's eye. But he's a young star player, and I think he's pretty decent. He's a guy who almost made my under-23s team. So, he's on the edge. He's on the edge. Pellegrini, another young Argentinian left winger. I think this guy was on my under-23 teams. I do not recall. Or he might have been on the under-20s team at the time, and I wasn't able to pick him. But anyway, he's also pretty good. Crossing, dribbling, pace. I mean, look at him. He's green, super green all the way across. So he's another guy who already fits the young mold of bringing in a young South American, selling him on. Like, that's our 2 best players, essentially, are of that range. And then George Acosta, the 1 young American we've got, he's also a pretty decent player, 3 stars, 3.5-star potential. So he's a guy we don't have to worry about selling on. We can just let him be. Chad Letts, 19-year-old. I don't know if this guy came from our academy or what. We can maybe take a look at him and look at his history, see where he came from. No, he came from Union SG in Belgium. Came over an allocation. So he was just handed to Inter Miami. I guess he wanted to come back home from Belgium. Come to the MLS, and MLS just gave him to Inter Miami. That's fine. We'll take him. 19 years old. He can play left, right, or striker. I don't know if he's really striker material with only 8 finishing. He's got some decent potential. We'll keep an eye on him. Edward Sosa. 23-year-old Venezuelan. Yeah, I'm on the fence with this guy. He wants a new contract. He's still got 2 years left on his contract, so I don't know what he's worried about. He's super average, not very fast. He's just sort of okay. He's good enough right now, but I'm not thrilled with him. David Norman, young Canadian. We familiar with this guy from our FM18 or FM19 series. He hasn't been that long. It's only been like a couple of months since that series ended. I should know when it is. Anyway, David Norman, defensive midfielder / midfielder, got a lot of potential. Canadian, so we're gonna play this guy. He needs to improve his speed, so we'll be working on that. But other than that, he's a very fine midfielder. Again, a very young team, so there's room in this team to add some high-profile veterans without rocking the boat. And we've only got 14 players, so adding anyone, honestly, is a boon. All right, then we got Martins at the left back, 28-year-old Portuguese. He's fine. I got no problem starting with this guy. He's a little small, little poor jumping reach, but, he's perfectly serviceable. Defense is where we got some issues. Eddie Segura, 23-year-old central defender. On paper, he's pretty talented. 4.5 stars. I don't know. He fits sort of the style that I was playing with the Argentinian under-23s. So maybe that's good. It says he's a star player here. I don't know about playing a 5'9" central defender with 10 jumping reach. It just hurts my soul to do that. So maybe that's just my hang up that I got to get rid of, because so far he's our most valuable player. 3.2 million, making 376,000. So, we can't just get rid of this guy. Is he our designated player? I'll look that up later. Anyway, Kevin Baños, one of our super draft players. Not a great picture. He's a little blurry. His eyes are a little beady. But anyway, he's 22 years old. Play all 3 defensive positions, left, right, center. Good potential. American. He's ambitious. I think this guy might be our Generation Adidas player. 22 years old. Draft history. Came from the Long Island Rough Riders. Super draft player. Is it Milestone? Is it... What is it? Biography? Baños, drafted Miami. Second round pick. This guy's a second round pick. Get out of here. So anyway, that's a pretty good draft pick. I'll take him, especially at a position we definitely need. A guy who can play all over the backfield. That's good. And then we have no right back, so that's no good. We got a blank guy there, Nathan Jackson. And then Sean Johnson. It's our goalkeeper, 31-year-old American. Definitely a guy we're going to keep around as long as possible. And he kind of makes our other goalkeeper, Alex Rodriguez, not that Alex Rodriguez, but this Alex Rodriguez, makes him a little dispensable. He's one of those international slots that we could free up by getting rid of this guy. I mean, he's okay. He's a serviceable backup, but he's taken up an international slot where any old American would do just as well as this guy. So get out of here. We're going to bring in an American backup goalkeeper and save that international slot for somebody else. Then we got 3 other guys on the bench. They've all got decent potential according to our current scouts. Morton, striker, 17 finishing, 22 years old. Another super draft player. Looks okay. He looks actually not great other than 17 finishing. But, whatever. Comfort, Southern Comfort here. Sander Comfort even. 4-star potential. Another super draft guy, 22 years old, left winger. Looks okay. Good crossing, dribbling, pace, whatever. He's fine. Mackenzie Gaines, 22 years old. He's a real dude with a real picture. Gonna have to figure out exactly who he is. Maybe if we keep him around. He's, again, looks like he's got good potential. Coming over from Germany. Interesting. On a free. Before that, he was at Lone Star in the USA, the Lone Star Academy. So he's from Texas, most likely. Over to Wolfsburg, and then all these places in Germany, and then finally back to the USA for $160K. Yeah. So we don't have a lot to work with, but what we got here is okay. We just need to add to what we got. There's not a lot of fat that we need to cut because we have almost no players. And speaking of almost no players, let's take a look at our academy, which is nothing. There's nothing. What I want to know, are American academies busted? Do they work? Because in the demo, in the beta, my academy didn't work at Nashville. So here it also seems to not be working. We have 2 players in our whole academy. Jimmy Chronopoulos, Mr. Papadopoulos, 20 years old. Not great player, but at least he exists. At least he's a human being. Casey Evans, also 20 years old. Again, not good, but he is there, as opposed to everyone else who is just sort of, 25-year-olds in our academy, 26-year-old. How old can they get? Danny Cormier. Okay, he's at least 20. Okay, that's fine. Is there like an age limit? 36 years old. Joe Maloney playing for the Inter Miami Academy. He's a late bloomer, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, and then we got 2 loan players in there. This guy's on loan from Atlanta United for whatever reason. This guy is on loan from New England for equally baffling reasons. So yeah, academy is probably not going to be any help unless we get a miracle golden generation intake, because right now we got next to nothing. So that's the state of the squad. So what we have coming up is we have, all the end of season stuff, drafts and things, and then we got the next year, beginning of next year, which more drafts and more things. So we'll work through that stuff and see what we've got going on into 2021 in Major League Soccer. So that's going to do it for this first episode. So until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.